Hey mates, and welcome to More MtMtEs. I'm your host Blind Prime, and for today I'm going to be talking about the G.I. Joe Classified Series Delux Class Kyle Budo Jessup. He's a samurai, and today we're going to talk about him. In depth and from the blind perspective, of course. So we're not going to talk about the colors. We're just going to talk about the way it feels in the hand and how I, as a blind person, could enjoy this, and how other blind people out there who may want to have a fun action figure can enjoy this as well, because there's a lot to enjoy with this action figure, and I'm going to get into it in depth in today's video. So please, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Those things go very long ways to helping me reach more people out there, because it's hard for me to see other blind people because I am blind as well. So if you could help me find blind people, that would be amazing. I'd always appreciate those of you out there who are helping me reach more people. It means a lot to me personally, and it definitely means a lot to Cream the cat too. Isn't that right, Cream? Yeah. Not really. I don't even know if he knows what a channel is. He's just like sleeping on the table under all the lights. Let's get into today's video without further ado. This is a fun action figure. If you can see, then you notice I have two action figures standing here because Kyle Budo Jessup comes with an extra set of armor, except that he doesn't come with an armor stand. So I had to look around in the collection and find a G.I. Joe that could hold his armor. And who can have Budo's armor? Why, it's Ninja Snake Eyes. The first version of Snake Eyes can have Budo's armor, and that one was kind of cool. I just had to take off his little strap with the weird grenade-looking things on it. So that was something I fiddled around with for all day yesterday, looking around, and I found out that Snake Eyes can serve the purpose quite well. I think he also looks snazzy in his armor. So this comes with two sets of armor, which is unique and very interesting, and was not expecting that. They were like, he comes with his armor. And I went, oh, okay, cool, that's neat. So we're going to get some really neat samurai garb to put on the character. That's fun. And then I get it, and there's an extra set of armor. But then again, if you watch the box opening, then you know how excited I was to discover that this character comes with two sets of armor, and that's world building right there. I can set up a separate set of armor with a Joe character I don't like. Like if I wanted to dress up another character in Kyle's ancestral armor, then I can, and just set that character off to the side, just kind of standing there at parade rest or something, or in an action pose, and he can just be a statue. Like I can set him on a little pedestal in a little Joe base or something, or maybe just in a meeting room, and he could just be a really cool statue standing there in the corner. And that will work out well for ways to to display things without displaying characters. Like if you're tired of someone being on the shelf, then this is a great way that you can hide them and kind of set them in a different scene completely. Very, very interesting. Now, sorry, the top of my foot was itching. This is weather change we got going on. All of my skin's been itching because it's getting dry. We don't deal with dryness well here in Florida. All right, so without further ado, let's get into this guy in depth and full. First and foremost, we'll talk about his accessories and then get into him. Before we talk about his accessories, though, I do want a size comparison. I just got to get this gun out of his hand real quick. There we go. Let's take out his gun, because I just thought it was goofy and fun to have a samurai in full-blown ancient samurai armor wielding something that feels very similar to a P90, and it's just like it's a Stargate episode. So this is a very neat little gun. It's got a little bipod that moves around. That bipod was better before. I think I may have accidentally broken my bipod. Oh, no. I see. There's a little nubbin up there at the top. The bipod's got to kind of set into that nubbin, and then it will work. Come on, bipod. Set up in that nubbin. Get locked in. You were good just a little while ago. Huh. I don't know what's going on with the bipod now, but it's super loose. It wasn't loose before. Did I mess my bipod up? Or am I just not paying attention to something? Well, that's intriguing, because when I pulled it out of the box, this was very stiff, and you could actually adjust this bipod very well. But now there's no stiffness to the bipod. Huh. Interesting. I'm wondering if there's a piece that fell out and I've lost it. Ooh, I hope not. But either way, this is neat. I guess if you want to adjust this, if you're like me and have the problem of suddenly... Wait, there we go. I had to press on it. There we are. It's a little stiffer, but not by too much. There's a C-grip in there at the bottom. Let's push on that just a bit and see if we can activate that C-grip. So get it lined up, and... Huh. Yeah, there's a C-grip. So you can actually pull it out of that little C-grip position and change it over. And is there another C-grip back here at the other end? Is there? Let's see. We'll push on it a little bit. See if it locks. No. There's a C-grip at the front. And then... nope. So just that place at the front has the ability to lock in place. There it goes. Okay, so that's neat. You actually have an adjustable bipod for the gun. So this gun has a little, it's got an ammunition pack that's at the far end at the butt. I don't know why it's so far back. It's actually behind the trigger in the gun handle. It's a very odd positioning for a pack of ammunition. Then at the front of the gun, we have a little handle that sticks down, so you can hold it in two hands. And the gun is very smooth, feels very sleek, and feels like it's kind of possibly an enhanced gun in the sense of sturdiness, so that he could use this to really hit something and not worry about damaging his gun. But it's got like weird, sleek sci-fi feel to it. It's kind of a very futuristic feeling gun, but at the same time, not, because it's got a scope at the top, it's got a barrel, it's got ammunition packs, it's got all the things that guns have, but it feels nice. It's smooth, feels great in the hand. So we're going to set that gun off to the side with its neat adjustable bipod. We'll talk about the second head real quick that he comes with. I call this Samurai Jack after battle with a comb hair, because he's got a top knot, and then he's got this, where his hair's all flopped down, and he's got this one strand hanging off to one side, and this other strand kind of popping up over his eye. It makes me feel Samurai Jack. It's the strand from Samurai Jack. Oh man, it's just that one strand of hair that like went down over his eye and next to his nose. It's straight up Samurai Jack Battle of Comb hair. Or Samurai Jack really getting into it here. So that's the fun face here. I think this is actually the better head, in my opinion, because all this hair is really, really well done. It's all textured nicely. We've got wonderful sweeps. It'd been cooler if it was longer, but I'll take the length we get. We've got a really nice feeling face in there too. Since we've got this head disconnected, we can actually talk about the face a little more in depth here. I'm actually not sure if he's got facial hair. If he does, it's hard to tell, but it's possible it's right around. He's got a mustache, but I don't think so. He's got a very nice little chin. It's not very pronounced, but it's there, and it feels right for his face. We got a pointy nose, kind of bends up more towards the top of the eyebrow at the bend, and we've got these really, really nicely done eyebrows and eyes. I do like this head sculpt. You know, this head sculpt makes me feel confident Japanese warrior. That's what this head sculpt. Nuts. That's crap. That's 2 in less than a minute. That head sculpt makes me feel, it feels confident samurai warrior, or like I said, Samurai Jack confidently facing down a coon. Now, we'll get to the Which one to talk about first? The bigger armor or the smaller armor? You know, we'll undress Snake Eyes and talk about the smaller armor. And let's see, what else did we have over here that we could talk about? Oh, one more thing that's not connected to anything because I couldn't figure out how is a new cloak. We've got a cloak that feels like it's made out of a wolf pelt or something. It's very thick. It's got layers to it. It feels like it's shaggy fur. Either that, either it's made out of a wolf pelt or a bear pelt or something. But this is definitely a pelt of some sort. I mean, I could be completely wrong, and it could be a bunch of feathers because they all have these little things. But the textures don't scream feathers. They don't have those horizontal lines. It's all vertical lines for this. So I'm assuming it's a big furry cloak. Made for keeping you warm in the winter, and it's rubbery, and you can slip it over a character's head without removing their head, but you do have to remove the helmet. So that's the cloak. We're going to set the cloak off to the side there. Now let's look at what we get with Snake Eyes here as our first one. So here we have Snake Eyes decked out in what I nicknamed the modern combat gear, or the modern samurai gear. And it's because it feels very modern-like. And so put Snake Eyes sword on the back because the armor has a little hole, so a backpack can go through it. And the sword just goes through the armor and then connected to Snake Eyes, which actually really helped in keeping this armor stationary. Now Snake Eyes has the bracers on. So let's go ahead and remove the bracers first. Snake Eyes is one of the few characters I found that had the right arm size for bracers and didn't have anything like etched into that arm that was keeping the bracers from fitting. So that's one bracer removed, and let's get the other bracer. Let's make sure that hand is actually connected. I don't want to lose you, Mr. Hand. You don't feel like you're connected. Let's double check that. There it goes. Okay, good. Just making sure that arm is connected. Now we can just wrap that around, come around here over to you, Mr. Arm, and pull the hand off and pull the bracer off. There we go. Now the small bracers are really well done in my opinion. They have some really nice little features to them. Okay, you can go over here real quick as I talk about the bracers. The small bracers. There. Don't fall. Okay. So these things aren't too large. And they will also fit on some of the larger female characters. And they don't take up a lot of space, but they do make for really nice feeling bracers. And if you have any characters that use bows and arrows, this is a nice bracer for putting on that character because it's got a full interior armband, so they can protect from the whiplash of a bowstring hitting that underarm or that under forearm area, because I used to do archery in high school, and when that bow string comes off and you're not wearing the protection, it hurts. It hurts a lot. It's like road rash on a very sensitive part of your skin. So having that is really, really useful when dealing with bows and arrows. So I'm wondering if I didn't try it on Storm Shadow, but I'm wondering if it could fit on Storm Shadow because he does have that nice bow and arrow combo. So you could have Storm Shadow wearing these and protect him pretty well. We get a left and a right arm, and they are very well done. Actually, I don't even think there's a difference between the two. So you could technically have 2 left arms or 2 right arms. There's not really much of a difference with these guys. They are perfect copies of each other. So that is the small bracer. And I really like the small bracers. I think they're kind of fun. And I also like, I just like being able to, take armor on and off of my action figures. Look, I know, it's similar to dressing up dolls and stuff, but I don't care. It's fun. I enjoy it. Now, which one to talk about next? Oh, we'll talk about a skirt because it is also a little difficult to get off. So there on is the small skirt. We have a sword attached to it on one side. I tried to remove that, but that is locked in. So that's sad. I was hoping we could just remove it and replace it with other accessories. On the other side, there's this cargo pouch where it feels like it can hold extra ammunition. That is actually the latch. So you want to pull on that cargo pouch, and you figure out which way it goes by finding the seam. There's the seam, pull on the cargo pouch, and the entire skirt opens up and it falls down. Now this skirt can fit on Snake Eyes because Snake Eyes had the right width of his hips. You can't really put this skirt on some bigger guys. It won't to attach. It will not attach. Nuts. It won't attach at all. So this skirt here, you can reattach it by just applying that. Now I was hoping that we'd get a better, I like this attachment system, I really do, because the whole socket and thing like that. But the ones I enjoy most are where there's a little there's a little thing you have to thread. So you have to thread a little hook through, and then it attaches, and that makes it adjustable. So, and I think the modern day skirt could have been more adjustable. And I call it the modern day skirt because of the materials it feels like it's made out of. Where ancient armor guy here, which I gotta figure out how you fell so I don't break anything. You really did fall like how did you even fall like that? Okay, it's gonna set you back over here to the side while I talk about this guy. No, don't stand on your stuff. Don't fall either. Okay, let's switch you to here as well. There we go. Okay, so the armor here for his modern day is really well done in the sense of it doesn't feel like it's made in the past, unlike the ancient armor, which we'll do some comparisons when we get to his stuff. This stuff is actually it feels like it's made out of Kevlar, and then it's just layers of Kevlar kind of bolted together, and for the front of the skirt there. And I love that. Some soldiers get a tiny little yield sign to protect their groin. And no, Kyle knows what's up. Kyle Budo knows what to protect. His skirt covers not just his groin, but the top of either thigh as well. He's going to make it difficult. Kyle knows what's up. And that's good. I like that you can actually reach under here and feel that there are two layers of Kevlar stacked on top of each other, and that is cool. And they're not thin Kevlar. That's some thick stuff. And they really made that work with the textures there. That feels like thick fabric. Or thick Kevlar. Kevlar's kind of a fabric. So, other than the nice front skirt, we've got the cargo pouch on one side, that is the latch. On the other side, we've got this sheath for a sword. And it feels like it's made of wood. Feels a really well done sheath. It's a little bendy, a little squishy, but it isn't as bad as I've seen in the past. It feels very, very good. Now, like I said, I do wish you could just remove this sheath from the side and replace it with something else. Like if they had just given us a hole cut there on this interior bit, and we could just kind of pop each of these out and switch them around however we want. That would have been absolutely amazing for this. So that is Tiny Skirt. And now let's take off another piece of armor. I just love the fact we could take off armor. So now we're going to come up here and we're going to remove the chest piece. So remove the chest piece, find the seam on the underside of his armpits, and this is another connection with little pegs and ports, except these pegs are very sturdy. That is very strong. And the connection ports are very good too. So this is actually an easier thing to attach than I've seen in the past. So it is easier to get this armor on and off your characters than you would expect. And it seems I have to take the helmet off first. So let's go ahead and talk about the modern helmet first before we do anything else. Now, when taking the modern helmet off, be aware there is there's this rubbery thing at the front that covers the face. You want to make sure that you've actually got that kind of etched, squeezed up with your fingernail over his nose. You want it over the nose, okay? And you want to make sure that you're carefully moving that thing up, because it's just kind of hanging out there on the front, and I'm worried it's going to break one day. So you want to be careful with the little face mask piece of this helmet, and when you're moving it up, you want to make sure you do your best to not have it snag on anything. And that's one of the nice things about using Ninja Snake Eyes here, is he doesn't really have a lot to snag on. His nose is covered by the face mask, so there's not much that can get in the way of you taking this helmet off. But still, with other characters, you need to be aware of that. So we'll set Snake Eyes back over here off to the side. Nuts! Yeah, Kyle's a big, heavy guy. He keeps wanting to fall over. At least he's got a good stance, you know? You can just kind of put him back. There it goes. Okay, so the helmet here is a mixture of old-fashioned and modern day. We've got something really interesting going on the interior of the helmet. There's a second layer that like hugs the back of the head in here. So there's even like a little pop-up divot in there for Kyle's his top bun. And I think that's nice, but you can put this on Snake Eyes, for instance, and it feels like there is actually a normal helmet, because that's what this, if you flip it under, you get this little crease area, and you can feel what feels like a normal helmet, that this helmet is just kind of glued onto or something. I like that thing. Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm wearing the standard issue helmet. I just accessorized. And it feels like a standard issue helmet that's been accessorized. It's neat. So he's got two little horns at the top, at the crest area, reminiscent of Gundam. He's got, Gundam's reminiscent of samurais. And he's got this little face mask that feels like it's something Scorpion would have, and or Sub-Zero. It's kind of cool. And then we have this little horn hanging off to the side, which I was like, is that a horn, or is that actually telecommunications? And I think that's a communications microphone that's decked out to look similar to a horn. And then these antennas could actually be real antennas, so that he can keep up with everybody. He's even got a little box on the back of his head for something. That's kind of a little pouch that I've noticed with a lot of the modern day helmets in the Joes. The top of this helmet feels like the modern day Joe helmets, with that center bit that's a little more pronounced. And then the sides just seem like this has been, he's glued on these sides with liquid nail or something. And they're just these skirt bits that feel like they're made out of corduroy, but really thick, really big, thick banded corduroy. Doesn't feel like it's bamboo. Not like what we'll talk about later in this thing, but this feels really good. I like the ridges going all the way down from the top, and it just makes him feel like maybe he's got a little bit of a Kevlar skirt glued onto his standard issue helmet. And if that's the case, this guy's just got a love for Kevlar, and he doesn't, but running into the battlefield, you kind of want as much armor as possible, and having a Kevlar little skirt coming down from the back of the helmet on either side is actually not a bad idea. Maybe it is a bad idea in practice, but in thought games, actually doesn't. It seems like it would work. So that's the helmet. I like the modern issue helmet for his light armor kit, as I call it. No, it's medium armor. So he's got a medium armor kit and a heavy armor kit, but that helmet is just really neat. I like the mixture of modern day and ancient flaring. It's a blend. And this armor is fun because of its blending. Now let's get the light or medium samurai armor off of you. There you go. Are you wearing any of the necklaces? No, you are not. So we're gonna set you over here, Mr. Snake Eyes. You are done. Cream. Why is your tail there? Set Snake Eyes here. Why'd I set him on top of something? There we go. Okay, good. So this is the modern day samurai armor. We've got, battle armor. It feels like he's got pouches where he can slip ceramic plates. It's got little pouches for extra ammunition packs, and it's thick. It's layered. They even went so far as to actually do layers when they were designing this, so that when you feel on the edges, you can feel the layers of armor stacked on top of each other. And this is good modern day battle rattle here. This is good stuff. We've got all sorts of little square. There's these two big squares on his chest that are where Kevlar plates or ceramic plates could be stored. He's got It feels like some of that reactive armor, um, that gel-based armor that when it gets hit, it makes more solid. It becomes more solid, layered on top of Kevlar for his front area. This guy is just decked out, and the textures are glorious. I even like this big old boxy thing on his back. Which one is his back and which one's his front? I gotta figure that out real quick. There's a hole in the back, and there's not a hole in the front. Right, okay, so the back here is this one, the one I was just talking about a minute ago. And very, very interesting going on here. It is a fun feeling little armor piece. It's got a lot happening here. And I do, yeah, that is the back. There's the hole. I really enjoy this. I enjoy all of this stuff going on the front. I like all of the pouches. I like the fact that this is a, it is a blend of modern day and ancient, and I love it. And even coming over here to his shoulder pauldrons that he gets, they feel like the light skirt, so it feels like a few layers of Kevlar and what feels like bolts, like it's been riveted on. Those rivets will act as studded leather to give him a little more protection than just 2 layers of armor glued together. I like the studded aspect. I like the textures there on each shoulder pad. I like the textures on the back. I like the textures on the front. I like this armor. I like the entire armor for, and I just knocked over Snake Eyes. I like all the medium scale armor for modern day fighting. It works. It works out very well, and it feels good in the hand, and it makes sense in the mind whenever you're playing with it. And you're like, yeah, if somebody was just crazy enough to really go samurai theme, I can see how with modern materials they could make that work. And those are the textures I'm getting from this. Now, whether or not that's what their intent was, I don't know. But those are the textures I'm getting from it, and that's the story I'm going with. Now, let's move on over here to Kyle Budo Jessup in the full, in his family's armor that's been passed down. And he is now, interestingly enough, when he first came out, apparently he was not part of the Akashi clan. He was his own thing. He had his own samurai family history and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Apparently they changed that later, but I like the idea that he's his own group. He comes from his own group, just some ancient samurai family. And that's it. Just a little world building. Extra groups are okay. You can have more than one clan of martial artists in G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe can broaden. You can come up with some creative stuff. Not everybody has to be from the Akashi clan. At this point, you're like, who don't they take in? Thought this was secretive. The armor here is pretty cool. But yeah, Kyle comes from San Francisco. His family moved to Japan a couple of generations back. I'm pretty sure that his family had to deal with the bad stuff that happened to Japanese people in World War II in San Francisco area. So it's cool that he's a big proponent of being a United States citizen and really working hard towards being an American. And, being a person who grew up there and absolutely loves the country and is willing to fight for it. So I think that's cool. It's backstory. Like, the country did his family wrong, but his family's willing to forgive them. And that's cool. That's cool. And I like it. I like the forgiveness aspect of this with, the fact that he joined the armed forces. And he became a dojo master later after resigning and going on the reserve list for the G.I. Joes. So he ended up owning his own dojo where he teaches Budo martial arts. That's fun. I love it. I absolutely love this guy. So let's get into it, and I'll stop gushing about the character because his backstory is kind of neat. Now let's talk about him coming up from the bottom top, and we'll remove all the accessories, and then we'll get in depth with the character. So first and foremost, to remove his leg shin things, you just have to pull them off. They got some sort of semi rigid. No. How are you continuing to try and fall? Stop it. Just gonna set him down. We're just gonna pull off the other shin, and we're gonna talk about the shins. You just stay there. Thank you. So these shins are what feels like, layers of wood. It feels enameled wood style, and maybe it's not wood, maybe it's something else, but it kind of gives me that impression. It's strong, it's sturdy. It's like an umpire's shin guard, except it's got this like ridge in the center of it that goes up, and that is neat. It's got this big old ridge that runs up the very center. It's like, oh yeah, now if you kick somebody and you have this ridge in the center of your shin, that's gonna hurt. If it hits somebody else's shin. I like the knee pad on it. That's cool, and I like the fact that they figured out a way to slip this piece onto characters by using these C grips, and the C grips are actually a little bit softer than the rest of this, and I don't know how they managed to do that, but that is cool. I do worry about them, but I'm pretty sure if you take care of your C grips will take care of you, and you get 2 of these fun shin guards. Now I wish we had gotten some medium armor shin guards as well as heavy armor shin guards, but I'll take shin guards for the heavy armor. So we're going to set the 2 cool shin guards over there. Next piece of armor to remove from him is, we'll remove the cool sword. So he's got this sword on his back, and this is a neat thing. It's attached with a wire, and you can come over here, and you unattach it. Where is it attached at? You just got to figure out where it's attached at, and you can unattach it, right? Come on. Unattach it. There it goes. Okay, there it is. Let's go ahead and pull this string around. Be careful with it. You don't want to break anything. Sometimes these thin plastics can have a tendency to come apart if you're not careful. So set him back down. Don't fall. All right. This is a cool samurai sword. So one of the reasons I have Snake Eyes here is because version 1 Snake Eyes came with his own sword, but it was more like, it's a cool sword. It's a neat sword. Feels more like a bastard sword than a samurai sword. But then we get this actual samurai sword here. Actual big katana. And I'm pretty sure that may be the name. I know there's katana, wakasashi, and another blade, and I'm forgetting about the third one. But we're going to compare sword to sword here. All right, first and foremost, this katana that goes on his back has a much, much longer hilt. We're going to set these guys side by side, and we can see blade length. We're going to put them hilt to hilt. There we go. And yeah, Budo's blade is a full half blade longer than Snake Eyes' sword, and that's just neat. It's so long. It's got this nice curve to it. It doesn't like to stay in its packaging. Like, it will stay there right now. When I say tiny, I mean it's very soft, but there's a soft little latch in there, and you can feel it when it engages if you're careful. So be aware of that. It's soft. It can easily be unattached, and you just need to be aware of that, and be careful of not putting this sword in backwards, because the curve won't work right, and then you have like a snake shape. You don't want that. Right? You don't want to bend your sword, so make sure you match the curve to the curve in this really elegant feeling, sword sheath. This thing is neat. I love it. I love this curve to it. I like the feeling of it. It feels like a samurai sword sheath. It does. It makes me happy. And I like this rope that comes from one end to the other. It goes all the way up and around so he can strap it on top of his armor. It's just... And because of this, you can actually strap this to a lot of characters. You can just give it to a lot of different characters. And you can just kind of put it on over their armors. And it is one very interesting and very fun extra accessory that can be added to many characters. So that is the big sword, and I love the big sword, and I love the big sword sheath. I also like the fact that it's a big two-handed sword. We don't get many big two-handed swords. Oh, I forgot about these guys. Let's see. Did I put the sword back? No, I did not put the sword back. So where did the sword go? Here's the sword. Let's give... And I used to think that Snake Eyes' sword was big, but, you know, now Snake Eyes' sword is just a nice size sword. Budo wins in the big sword contest. So, what's the next thing we're gonna take off of Budo? Let's go ahead and take off his... nuts. There's so much to talk about. We'll do the things on his forearms. Well, yeah. We'll do his bracers. So we'll pull off each of his heavy-duty bracers and talk about them. And now these are the older armor things. So I'm making the assumption here that these are not made out of modern-day materials. That these are, his ancient family's armor with materials. If I can get this, it's a little difficult to get the heavy armor on and off of him when it comes to the bracers because of the way that the bracer covers the hand. So there we go. Now these bracers do, like I said, when you put them on, they cover the hand. They have like this really cool armor that goes up above the knuckles, and then on the side there's a little bit of armor that goes up and above the knuckle for your thumb, and it comes together quite nicely to be like a just kind of a short-fingered mitt that fits over top of their hands, and that is cool. That is really cool. And we're going to set Budo back over here and talk about these two pieces real quick. It is just so much fun. There's so much happening with this character. And these feel like they're made straight up out of wood. Like this feels like it's a couple of pieces of bamboo that have been slightly curved and folded in on top of each other, or pressed into some other wood or something like that. But we got the ridges going on here. We've got some thick armor, but it's not the same textures as the modern day stuff. These textures feel more wooden. They feel more rugged, and it feels more like it's something that was made in older times. I mean, if I'm wrong about this, I'm wrong about this, but I don't think I am. And I like the interior leather straps. And he gets these two leather straps that go across his inner forearm. So this guy ain't wielding bows and arrows, that's for sure. So each of these is about the same. They are different because there's this thumb bit. So there's a left one and a right one because of the little bit that sticks out for the thumb, and that does make them slightly different. But they do work well as a pair, and I really like the fact that it covers the hands, and that is really fun. And I think Budo would have been just that much better if we had gotten fisticuff hands for him, so that he could have had fists underneath. That's just cool. Now let's move over here to, we're going to set these pieces over here. Here we are. It's just so much. Next piece of armor, we're going to go ahead and take off the skirt. We're going to go ahead and grab his skirt from the back. So yeah, there's a way to remove this skirt. This is the heavy-duty skirt. This thing's actually a little difficult to get on, but it's even got a more heavy-duty peg and peg hole concept that stretches around and attaches just above his rear on his lower lumbar region. So that's where it attaches at, and it's really solid and really easy to get on and off of him. I say that, struggling to get the skirt off of him. All right. Setting Budo back over here. Now this skirt is the old samurai garb skirt. It has two swords on it, sword sheaths, and I currently have both of the swords. The longer one and the shorter one are both present, and where the medium sword and the short sword are there. The skirts on either side are stretched down. We've got rugged, what feels like, either fabric or... No, that feels like maybe it's more on the leather side. This torn stuff that's hanging down on either side. It's a little ragged, it's a little ripped and shredded on the edges. Like, it feels like it's just well worn, it's old, It's been through battlefield after battlefield throughout time, and that's the impression you're getting from all these little rips and tears at the bottom. Like, this is just some old stuff, and this is some thick leather that makes up the side skirts that have all torn and ripped up. Like, this leather has been torn, it's been shredded, it has survived. It has survived the ages, and that I love that. I love the way they managed to texture all that in there. We come up here to the side skirt area, and we've got more layers of texture. We have some pieces of some pieces of leather that feel like they've been, kind of sewn into the side skirt. We've got some layers on the sides. There's not really much on the wood aspect going here. It just feels like it's layers of cloth and leather. And then we come around here to the front area, and this is where we finally get our feeling of wood. We get what feels like maybe some bamboo put in here, and for this the front little yield sign area. But for the most part, it's again made of leather and cloth, and comes together with this really nice belt that he stretches around him that it's all sewn to. Like, this is a nice skirt, and it is heavy. Like, even just by itself, it is a heavy skirt. And then we have the two sword sheaths on the side. Each of the swords is really nicely done. I'm enjoying how each of them has the same kind of textured grip, so they all feel like they belong in the same set. All three of them do, and that is cool. The little small one too, it's just nice. Yeah, that is a fun little skirt, or not a little skirt. That's a fun heavy-duty armor skirt. Now, let's get up here to taking his helmet off and talking about his helmet. We're almost done talking about his accessories. Yeah, we still got more accessories to talk about. So this is the older helmet, and what was this? Oh. So, I kind of just took off his head, trying to take off the helmet. There we go. I'll just put this head back on there. There it goes. Yeah. Nice. So the helmet here is got the two big horns coming off on the top that feel like they're made to look kind of like exaggerated reindeer horns or something. And then we got some little crest in the center, reminiscent of Gundam. No, you can really feel a lot of fun stuff in here. I like the face mask. How the face mask comes down in a curve and covers that the face up, where with the modern day it felt like something that Sub-Zero or Scorpion would have. This one is screaming samurai. Like, this is that kind of scary samurai face mask that soldiers wear. This is good stuff. There's any samurai character, it's just screaming to me, reminding me of all instances of samurais characters I've ever seen in the past. It is so well etched in there. All of the cool stuff that's around the face mask, all of that intricate detail is put in there. We got the nose cover, and we've got these deep set eye area. It's just neat. He's got the stuff on the sides. We've got the layers of bamboo for the sides, which I'm assuming bamboo because of the weird rounded textures of it. That's feels similar to big corduroy, and goes over all the way around. We've got this really nicely done top little area, little bit of fabric sticking out the back of it, as if he's got his own little top knot up here. It's just this helmet. There's so much going on this helmet alone. It's wild, and it's such a good little helmet. That is such a fun accessory there. All of this armor is a fun accessory. Now, to get the heavy armor off, we do actually have to take off Kyle's head. So we have to de-head Kyle. I'm going to set his head there and talk about the necklaces he comes with. Plural, because it comes with two. Alright, we'll get the second one out of there. There we go. So, he comes with two necklaces. One of them is like a very tiny version of his smaller skirt. At the front, it's got just that kind of skirt profile, and it's wide enough to protect his collarbone and his breastbone. And when you take it off of him, you notice that his heavy armor has this gap that this actually slips into quite well when he's wearing this necklace and you put this armor on. This little piece covers that gap perfectly, and I love it. It's the layers that I really appreciate here. It's a tiny necklace, but it works to complete the look. So that's one of his necklaces he gets. Then he gets a scarf. He gets this fun little scarf that's made out of a similar feeling textures to the cloak. So you can give him the scarf and the cloak together, but the scarf, I noticed, doesn't work well on the heavier armor. The heavier armor is just putting too much around his head already. But now that we got the head removed, we got the little scarf off to the side, which is better than Stalker's scarf, because this is small, it's nice, but it isn't in the way. You know, Stalker's scarf is just too much. So we're going to set Budo's little scarf off to the side. Now let's go ahead and take off the core armor. It's the same way as the heavy armor. It's the same way as the medium armor. You just kind of unstrap the two sides and you just pull it straight up and out. There we go. And this armor is just intricate. It's the word here. Just so much. All the layers going on the chest. It doesn't feel like it is a flexible piece of armor at all, but it is heavy duty. You know, they went more for layers on everything. Everything just has all this cool detail going on, even to the back where you get there's just a lot going on with this piece of armor, and it feels, oh, the back of it is really intricate with how it feels like every layer was sewn from the bottom up. So when you drag your finger down, you get all these rough ridges. But if you drag your finger up it feels smooth. It's kind of like reverse snake belly going on there with the rear of the armor. And that is a weird texture. Even on the front, we got that reverse snake belly thing going on. It's a neat texture, that's for sure. And I like how it comes together quite nicely. On the sides, we have these really, really thickly done side shoulder pauldrons that stretch all the way down to the character's elbow. We got this wonderful texture on it. I like the little ridge that sticks up right on top of the shoulders, and I like the fact there's a ridge around the neck. It makes it where you can't just kind of do a sword slash and just chop off this guy's head in battle. You know, if you do a sword slash to get the head, it's going to hit this little piece of armor sticking up on this shoulder, or it's going to hit the armor sticking up on the other shoulder, or if it gets through those, it's still going to have to hit the collar that's sticking up around where the neck would be, and that is epic protection right there. You know, he gets +5 against Vorpal blades. So that is the armor. I love these accessories, and we still have a couple more accessories to talk about. Let's go ahead and put his head back together and finish this guy's accessory talk up. Good grief, we've been talking for a while and we haven't even talked about the character. We just got this one last accessory. It's a pistol that's bent. It didn't mean to get bent, but it kind of got bent whenever I put the armor on him, and did not mean for that to happen, but that's what happens when you build your pistols with crappy plastic. Just why do our pistols have to be so crappy? They used to be amazing. They used to be made with some really fun stuff, but that's the pistol he comes with. It comes with an extended clip, and that extended clip will bend and mold to the heavy armor skirt, because if you're not careful, you don't slip this piece between the skirt edges, it will just kind of bend. So be aware of that. Be aware of that. This is a Christmas present. I'm already ruining it. So, now let's actually talk about the character in depth. Yeah, we're going to move from the feet to the top. So first and foremost, this guy's feet have textures on the undersole. So we got textures going on the sole of the foot. We got textures on the sides, the anti-grip textures going on there for the sides of the boot. We got a nice boot cleat thing going on in the center there. Coming up here to the top of his boots and the sides. Really, really nice textures going on here. But, you know, interestingly enough, there's not a lot of wrinkles going on his boots. So I'm going to assume, since he's a reservist, he had to get new boots. You know, he hasn't broken these boots in yet. They don't feel like they're broken in at all, unlike some other characters we had in the past. Now, it does have the laces that go up, and then He's got something that's folded over in protecting the top of the lace area. The boot has a really nice boot swivel. I like the fact that it's got a little armor piece that sticks up to kind of protect the shin just a bit. And the boot swivel's really well done. I always love that when they're doing this boot swivel, they do the texture to be like the pants are tucked into the boot. That is a lot. It's very well appreciated. Now, this guy doesn't really have much going on his pants because his pants are just in Under Armour kind of clothing. So it's a very soft-feeling clothing. We've got, it feels more like a thick wool, honestly. So we've got, this wool texture going up his knees, going up everywhere. Wrinkles all over the place, especially on the back area where he sits. And all that armor is closed in at, so you get all these wrinkles going on. That's neat. For his butt area, he's got a couple of pants pockets. So these actually feel like maybe they're just, regular standard issue cotton pants or wool pants for army. As it feels like that. We're not getting the blue jean texture. We're just kind of getting a woolen or a cotton texture for everything. And there's even like a nice little cloth belt he's got going on. I'm assuming that's a cloth belt. Maybe. No, it feels like we're getting actually leather textures for that belt. So that's neat. It's not really well pronounced, but it is a nice little belt. And it comes to, just comes everything together. And he's wearing a long sleeve shirt. And you can tell that by the wrinkles they put in the arms. I love it whenever they do that, to be like, there's a shirt here. Here are your clues that there is a shirt. Wrinkles. And there's even around the back, we got wrinkles in areas where you would expect a shirt to get wrinkled. It's all over the place, but he's also got a lot of nice muscle tone under that shirt. But he's wearing a shirt that's kind of loose fitting, so it melds with that muscle tone, where we get some muscle tone, like on the edges of the pecs. And we get some muscle tone, like down here in the ab area, where you get that center bit. But each of his, all of his six packs, his six pack is kind of etched out in there, but it's hidden by the shirt. So there's wrinkles all over the place. In addition to that, as if he's wearing a shirt that's a little tight, but it's also a little loose. And coming down the arms, we get all of this fun wrinkles. We get some more, muscle textures. But he's not a big muscle guy. He's on the medium build kind of muscle. But being a medium build kind of muscle, he still has kind of the smaller build arms. So be aware of that. And that's why I had to use snake eyes for his forearm stuff. He's got the double jointed elbows. That doesn't want to be a double jointed elbow. Come on, double jointed elbow. Be a double jointed elbow. Right? So one of the double jointed elbows doesn't want to be a double jointed elbow today. The other one does. They get stuck sometimes. There it goes. Yay! Double jointed elbow became a double jointed elbow. That's a very stiff double joint, though. So, double jointed knees. We get all of the stuff we come to expect. A thigh swivel, drop down hinge, pop up hinge. Actually, wait. Drop down hinge, pop up hinge? No. If it is, it's barely pronounced. That's, yeah, there's something in there, but it's not as pronounced as normal. So his drop-down pop-up isn't really that big. So, that is Budo. Coming up here to the top, we've got the similar face sculpt that we saw with, after Akum Budo hair. But now we've got his top knot, where he's, like, freshly ready for battle, and it's all of his hair is wrapped up in this little top knot at the top. It comes... Like I said, this character is really fun. I like the texture of the hair to that top knot. It's just, it's good. This guy is good. He's got wonderful range of motion in his neck. His neck's actually double jointed, where there's a joint in the core of the body, and there's a joint at the top of the head. So he can look down really far. He can look up a decent way. He can also crack his neck left and right, if he wanted to intimidate some people before doing a battle in the dojo. I just think that's fun. I just think that a lot of this guy is fun. In the core, we get a ratcheted core, and we get a ball joint in the bottom area, but it's not a very mobile ball joint. But there's a bit of joint there in the bottom area. So, not too bad, not too shabby. He is a wonderful figure. He's good to pose. He's got a lot of fun textures on him, and that armor is just sublime. I love everything about Kyle Budo Jessup. I think this is a wonderful G.I. Joe Classified Series deluxe figure that I personally think, if you've ever had any interest in samurai warriors, then this is the guy for you, because I can't think of another 1/12 scale samurai warrior that has removable armor like this. That only cost you less than 40. Pretty sure there could be some stuff out there that costs more, but he's definitely up there in the good quality G.I. Joe figures. I think this one ranks as an S category because of all the sheer stuff he comes with, how amazing this figure is in the hand, how each piece of armor feels like its own intricate piece of art, and how this character just comes together as a full package. This is the full package. This is going to be, if you've ever wanted a Budo, this is the Budo for you. Hands down, I don't know if they're ever going to come out with a better one. This guy's it. And to end the video out, let's have another cream treat moment. But yes, Budo gets the S category. And shake the treat. Cream wakes up. Who's a good cream? Who's a good cream? Huh? You like the treats? Are you going to stick your head in there anymore? No? No, someone learn. Here's a treat. Yay, cream. Are you already done eating it? You didn't even bite it. No, I just said what. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Bye-bye for now. Cream, go away.